The crushing weight of regret. Days blurred together. The ticking of the clock on the wall became a cruel reminder of the time slipping away, marking each second like a countdown to something inevitable, something I couldn't change. I would wake up in the morning, the cool morning light creeping through the curtains, casting long shadows across the room, but I never felt truly awake. It was as if my body moved on autopilot, following routines I had once cherished, but now they seemed hollow, pointless. The sheets felt colder now, their softness an irony to the emptiness I felt inside. The scent of coffee lingered in the kitchen, but it didn't taste the same anymore. It tasted bitter, like the remnants of my betrayal, like the sharp sting that came whenever I thought of him, of what I had lost. I could still feel the weight of the papers in my hand, the divorce agreement that had sealed the fate of everything I once held dear. The paper had been slick beneath my fingers, smooth like glass, offering no comfort, only cold finality. Every time I glanced at it, the words blurred, but the meaning, clear as day, seared itself into my heart. Even at work, I couldn't escape the gnawing ache. The office, once a place of achievement and focus, now felt like a cage. The fluorescent lights above me hummed, a low buzz that seemed to vibrate in my skull, as if mocking my inability to escape the reality of my choices. The constant rhythm of the keyboard felt foreign to my fingers. Every email, every report was just noise, nothing more than distractions from the storm brewing in my mind. There were moments when I would catch a glimpse of myself in the reflection of the glass doors, the sharp contours of my face, the dullness in my eyes, and I wouldn't recognize the woman staring back at me. The air felt thicker around me, as if every breath I took was a struggle, an effort to keep going despite everything pulling me down. I avoided social gatherings, avoided calls from friends who could hear the emptiness in my voice. Their words, once comforting, now seemed hollow, distant, as though they were speaking to someone who didn't exist anymore. The smile I had once worn so effortlessly was now a mask that I couldn't quite manage to put on. I spent evenings walking aimlessly around the house, the silence of the room suffocating me, the stillness so loud it made my heart race. The air felt thick, like it had been trapped inside for too long, and every time I walked past the living room, I would see the empty space beside me, his place, now vacant. I tried to focus on something, anything, to distract myself. But everything around me felt tainted. The sound of the television, the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the rustle of papers on my desk, each noise only deepened the silence in my chest. At night, I would lie awake, the weight of the blankets heavy against my body, suffocating, just as the guilt suffocated me. My thoughts, relentless and unforgiving, would play over and over, his face when he handed me the divorce papers, the coldness in his eyes when he left. I could still feel the imprint of his touch, the warmth of his skin that no longer belonged to me, the way he had once held me, loved me, before I had destroyed everything. I would close my eyes, but sleep didn't come. Instead, all I saw were flashes of our life together, the way we had laughed, the moments we had shared, the way he had looked at me like I was the only one in the world. But now it felt like a lifetime ago. The sweet scent of his cologne, now just a bitter reminder of the last time I had felt something real. And then, there were the dreams, nightmares, really. The sound of a door slamming shut, the sharp intake of breath as I reached for him, but he was already gone. I could hear his voice in my head saying things I couldn't quite grasp. His words were fragments, broken pieces of a life I couldn't fix, a life that had slipped through my fingers like sand. Confronting the empty space. It had been a week since Stanley left, and the house was still untouched, still held the faint echoes of our life together. The smell of his cologne still clung to the air even though he was no longer here. His presence, once a constant, was now a ghost that haunted every room, every corner, every surface. I walked through the living room and saw the old photograph frame on the mantel, the one with the picture of us at the beach, smiling under the sun, carefree and happy. I could almost hear the sound of the waves crashing in the background, see the sunlight glinting off the water, feel the warmth of that day. It seemed like a dream now, a life that wasn't mine anymore. The silence felt oppressive, the stillness suffocating. I longed for something to break the monotony, some sound to pull me out of this fog. But all I had was the steady ticking of the clock, always ticking, always moving forward, and yet I felt like I was standing still, trapped in the past. I walked over to the mantel, reached for the photograph, and paused. The glass was cool under my fingertips, the edges worn from years of being handled. I traced the outline of our faces with my finger, the familiarity of the image almost unbearable. It was as if I could feel his warmth, his presence in the room, even though he wasn't there. I turned the frame over, fingers shaking, and saw the back of the picture, a small note written in his familiar handwriting. Always. It had been a simple word, a promise, a reassurance. Now, it felt like a lie. The paper felt brittle beneath my fingers, the ink smudged in places, as if it, too, had aged in the time since we had been happy. I set the photo back on the mantel and took a deep breath. The air felt thick with memories, and with every breath, I was reminded of everything I had lost. The warmth of his touch, the sound of his laughter, the way we had once fit together so perfectly. But now it all felt so far away. There were times when I would find myself waiting for him to come home, waiting for the sound of his footsteps in the hall, for the door to creak open, and for his voice to call out to me. But it never came. The emptiness of the house seemed to mock me, each empty space a reminder of my own choices, of my own failure.